like many smoky eye looks, I'm going to start out with a bare face just so that I don't do my makeup and then have a ton of eyeshadow fallout. So the first thing I'm going to start with is an eyeshadow primer. This one is by Milani, and it works a lot like my 24-hour primer by Smashbox. It's got that nude color to it, so it's almost transparent on your lids. So I'm just going to tap that on from lashline and up to the brow bone, just kind of blend it into the brow bone. Now for the shadows, I picked up a pretty random palette. It's by Wet n Wild and it says Fergie on it, so I guess it is a palette that Fergie created with Wet n Wild, and I like Fergie. I think she's pretty cool. So what really drew me to this palette is the selection of colors. This is my ideal color palette for a smoky eye, just warm shades. It's got a really cool kind of muted orange in there. It's got the nice transition color, whoop, right there. Good selection of colors and ideal, like I said, for a smoky eye. As usual, as I start shooting a tutorial, my neighbor's dog is barking up a storm. Moving on, I'm going to grab my Morphe 441 brush to start out at my brow bone. I'm going to take this pale ivory color. And I decided to use Morphe brushes for this look because the price point is pretty incredible for the high quality brushes that you're getting. I think the average eyeshadow brush price is like $6 to $8. They're not a drugstore item, but they're at drugstore prices, and it's definitely worth checking them out and getting a good collection of brushes for not a lot of money. So I'm gonna work that ivory color into my brow bone, and I happen to get a cute zit right in the middle of my eyebrows as I'm about to shoot a tutorial. Try not to get distracted by that thing. So again, really just working this color into the crease and up into the brow bone, just because we are going to be layering darker colors over this, so it's going to help us blend. Alright, now I'm going to take a smaller blending brush. It's just a little more compact, and I'm going to use this color right here. It's a good transition color, but it still has a little bit of sheen to it. It's not shimmery at all, but it's, I guess, kind of a satin finish, but the color itself is beautiful. So I'm going to load up my brush really well, and I'm actually going to layer this onto my lid first. Just really get that rich color onto there. And you can see how pretty that color is. And I'm just going to start pressing this in and moving up into my crease and just kind of blending out. So make sure you're really working this into the crease and kind of out into the brow bone just slightly, because at the end of this look, even though there's going to be a darker shade here, I want it to fade up into this beautiful muted copper shade. So again, loaded up my brush, and I'm going to start pressing that into my lid. Alright, now with that same blending brush, I do want to use this gorgeous orange shade, and this happens to be one of the most velvety, blendable colors in the whole palette, so I for sure want to use this. And this I'm going to concentrate just really at the crease and the kind of outer corner of the eye. I just think it's such a pretty color. It's bright but muted and understated at the same time. So just kind of work that in there into the crease. And again, starting at the outer part of the crease and just adding that all across. Alright, moving on, I am going to use an even smaller blending brush. This is the M514 by Morphe, and I'm going to go into this color right here in the center. It's just a nice matte dark brown. I'm just going to use the tip of that brush to load up the color. And here's where it's going to get kind of messy on my cheeks, but that's totally okay because I'm going to wipe it all off. So I'm just going to start with small circular motions right here at the outer corner and just start working my way up into the crease. Kind of in the way that I did with that orange color I just put on, but of course I'm using a smaller brush and covering less area just because it's a much darker color. You can always add, but it's really difficult to take away, so you want to be conservative with how you're applying the darker shades. So again, you can see I'm really preserving that orange fade up there, so I'm not applying the dark color too high above my crease. And then I'm going back with that blending brush and just using that to blend out the edge of there. Just really lightly. So the entire time I'm doing a smoky eye, I've got different brushes in every finger basically, just so I can quickly switch them out and use whichever one I need. That's the key to a smoky eye. You need a couple of good brushes and blend, blend, blend. That's really all you have to remember. All right, moving on to the other eye. Again, I'm going to start right at that outer corner. Small circular motions, just really getting that color in there. And then making my way up into the crease. So in the crease, it's a combination of circles and back and forth motions. So you always want to also go back and compare with the other side and make sure that the shape is looking pretty consistent on both eyes. And again, I'm going to go back with that kind of coppery shade and just blend out the edge of this. Really keeping that warmth. Alright, one more thing I'm going to do for the shadows on the top lid is I'm going to take my blending brush and go back into this kind of satiny copper shade, and I'm going to load up my brush and I'm just going to give it a couple of spritzes. This is the moisture spray from Cinema Secrets, but you can use plain old water, same thing. And I'm going to go right into the center of the lids and just kind of add that semi-metallic finish. Just really going to make it look more complete. And now you guys know me, I'm not really a fan of doing a pretty dramatic smoky eye and then a liner over it, but I'm going to take this Physicians Formula pencil. It's black and it's nice and creamy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line my eyes, but then I'm going to smoke it out a little bit so it's not a really clean line. So I'm going to start out first by going into the inner rim of my top lash line and darken that up. And now that that's done, I'm going to go onto the actual lid and just kind of press the color into the lash line to darken it up. And again, this is a nice and creamy pencil, so it's very easy to work with. I'm going to go in with this guy and just kind of diffuse that line. So for those of you who can't get a nice clean line when you line your eyes, this is a good trick. Doesn't have to be a really neat line because again you're going back in and smoking it out. So now I just wiped off all the fallout on my face. I'm going to move on to the face and then finish off my eyes after I'm done. If you watched my last video where I did the Drugstore foundation routine, you know I love this concealer. It is by Rimmel and I'm mixing the medium and the fair light just because it gives me the perfect color. Going to apply that under my eyes. And finally cover that eyesore down the bridge of my nose and just a little around my mouth. And of course I'm going all over all of this with foundation. So I'm going to grab that Real Techniques sponge and just blend that all out. And I'm going through this part pretty quickly just because I just did an in-depth video on just the face routine for a drugstore look, so make sure you check that one out if you haven't already. And I'm also going to do my contour before I hit up that foundation, just for a little more of a subtle look. Whoa, what was that? And I'm taking my Morphe M177 brush and just blending that out. And again for the nose, I'm just going to use my finger to blend this out. So now for my foundation, I'm going to go with my Revlon Airbrush Effect foundation. This is probably my favorite drugstore foundation. It's really good. So I'm just going to take that same brush and use this to apply over that highlight and contour I just did. Now to set all of this, you know, in my last video I used the NYX blotting powder in medium, which I love and it's great. But there was one powder that I didn't share with you guys in my UK drugstore haul. This is by Bourjois, and it's their Silk Edition powder. It is a powder. It's not necessarily a setting powder, but I'm going to use it anyway, just to set all of this because I really like it. And the color is Golden Honey. So this is just going to go all in here and really diffuse any lines and just kind of mattify this look a little bit. I'm also going to be using a different drugstore blush for this tutorial. This is by Milani and the color is called Luminoso. It's oh so pretty. It's a gorgeous luminous peach shade. Very subtle, and it's got kind of a radiant finish to it. I'm also going to highlight this look just a little bit with a Physicians Formula highlighter. Like I said in the last video, when it comes to drugstore highlighters, they make some of the best ones. So I am going to just dip into this with my powder brush. And this is called Beige Pearl. So I'm just going to add that to the tops of my cheekbones. And into my brow bone and a little bit into my forehead. This one's more of like a pearly highlight as opposed to a golden highlight. Alright, now that I'm done with the face, I can finish off the eyes, starting with that bottom lash line. I'm pretty much going to do all of this with this little guy. Actually, no. I'm going to start with this guy. Just my medium-sized blending brush. And I'm going to go into that muted copper shade. And first work this into the bottom lash line. This is sort of going to serve as my transition color. And then with this tiny little guy, I'm just going to dip into the dark brown and really make sure I tap off the excess and just kind of darken that up a little bit. Not by much. I don't want to make this look too intense. Now for my lashes, I'm going to be using these from Eyelure, which are in partnership with Vegas Nay. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, but she's the biggest beauty account on Instagram and the sweetest person you will ever meet. So I was really happy to see that she had lashes out, so I'm going to use the Shining Star style. So I'm just going to, as usual, lower these onto my lash line carefully. Anchor them in the center and then secure the outer corner and the inner corner. And again, lowering them onto the center. And as usual, I'm not really going to fill in my brows, but I'm going to take my NYX Brow Mascara and just kind of groom them. Make sure they stay in place. And then for the lip, I'm going to use a matte lipstick by NYX. This is called Sable. It's a good neutral shade. I'm just going to apply that directly, no liner. And this is good if you want a matte lip option, but if you want to go for something more glossy, I'm just going to add a little bit of this. It's going to give it some nice nude shine. So that completes my dramatic drugstore makeup look. I really hope you guys liked it. I know a lot of you like a good smoky eye look, so I hope I delivered. Hope I didn't disappoint. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and let me know down below what you guys think in the comments. And of course, next up, I have an everyday drugstore makeup look coming at you. So stay tuned for that. I love you guys. I'll see you soon.